All right, welcome, guys. This is Peter Voogd to another episode of the YEL 2.0 podcast. Thanks for tuning in. As you know, this podcast is purely focused on helping you build a life and a business on your terms. And we interview the world's most elite and successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, experts, and true game changers, and really people that I have respect for that are not just making a difference in their industry, but in the world. And I've been excited for today's call for a while, because this is a topic that I don't think is talked about enough. And we have an expert here who's a humble expert who tells me before the call, I'm just a nobody that has experience. But when you really dig deep, he has a lot of results. So getting results with a humble attitude is a very powerful skill set in entrepreneurship, especially in 2022. So Dave Carlin, what a bio, man. Welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you. And I'm honored to be here.
So experience in business, I want to kind of get right to it. Did you always have a knack for entrepreneurship, for business, for growing, or was there a breakthrough or a turning point you had growing up? Can you kind of take us back to when you first realized you wanted to get into business?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a hustler since day one, and hustler is not a bad term, by the way, right? So it's just what I mean by that is, I started out as a kid where you might, I think I'm older than you. So I don't know if you remember, actually, I don't know what age you are, but you might be, I think I am older than you. We used to have these books where you went door to door and you sold products out of these books. You could get points for, and you could redeem different things. So, when I was a young kid, I grew up with a good family. I grew up with a dad who was a CEO, and there was nothing wrong about my upbringing, but I always wanted more. And I didn't see other people wanting to compete against other people. I saw, okay, these people are my competition. How do I find X, Y, and Z, wherever their direct sources of whatever they're selling? And how can I sell it to everybody else and get them to work for me? So we can all make money, but I can always be at the top. So that's kind of always been my thing, where I don't look at like one-on-one. I look at like 20 steps past. And that's always been my mindset since I was a young kid.
Interesting. And do you think that came from your dad kind of having that CEO mentality where you saw that?
No, well, yes, love my dad. So if he listens to this later, yes, dad, of course. But still to this day, actually, the first time I ever said, I was on a podcast the other day and I said it, and they asked me, like, what drives you? What makes you have that mentality and want to sell? And to be very honest with you and your listeners, it's my insecurities. And still to this day, I don't feel like I'm enough. I am constantly insecure about everything else. So I could go in the corner, I could cry and go, oh yeah, I'm not enough. Or what I do is I use my insecurities to drive my success. So I was kind of like, imagine being a new kid at a new school, right? Where no one knows you. So I think at the back of my mind, how do I make the biggest splash? So that's where, with wanting to be the most successful, still to this day, I am dying for other people to give me affirmation that I am doing the right thing. So it drives me every single day that if I sold a company tomorrow for $100 million and got an exit or whatever it may be, I would feel like a loser the next day. So that drives me to go 10 times harder the next day.
Just to be able to share that almost shows your confidence, or you know yourself in a sense, because I think vulnerabilities are powerful, but a lot of people need to hear that, because I think there is a lot of fake influence out there, or people that act like they're so confident, they're above everybody else, but they deep down have insecurities and they don't want to share that because they think it's a weakness. So it's really cool to hear that side of your story.
And I think, one part of you can be like, oh, if I say that, people are going to think I'm weak and not work with me. But it's like, you got problems too, and you just don't want to talk about it. And that's where, problems can be good problems, right? And saying stuff like that, there may be someone in that situation that isn't reaching their potential because they're scared of what other people are going to think about them. And back in the day, I only had to be better than Dan up the street, right? Dan up the street made more money than me, got a better car than me. And by the way, money's not everything, but that's what we're talking about, and that's where I compare myself. Nowadays, there's 10,000 Dans on Instagram that I'm competing with. And probably half of those Dans are faking it anyway. So I'm actually competing with someone who is less than me, or less than me, and in terms of whatever I think is less or better than me. So, when we got on the journey of coming behind the scenes and starting to help people with their companies and training people online with our one company residual payments, I was like, no matter what, I'm going to be as honest, as real as I can be, because maybe some people won't like that, where they're like, no, you need to be confident at all times. But for a lot of people, I don't want to be above you. I want to be on the even playing field with you, because then you can feel more relatable and be more open to me when we're working together.
That's a great business tactic right there. I think it's rewarding too. I made a decision as well. I think it's rewarding to be yourself and not have to worry about what people think and just be authentic. And I think when you're polarizing, like you said, you're yourself and some people don't like you. When you're polarizing, you attract more of the right audience anyways. You know what I mean? And the right people are going to ride with you and want to join your company, want to be part of the movement. And the wrong people are not going to pay for anything or join anyways. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that, some people, but yeah, maybe keep that to yourself. There's some stuff that, you don't have to be out there with everything. But it took me a long time to even realize that. And it took me a long time to even be open about that. And before, like I said, we've been, which we'll get on later, we've been in credit card processing, the payment processing space where, you guys are accepting your card payments for your businesses online and offline forever. And we were always behind the scenes. And when we started actually teaching people online, when they were having to videotape me and pre-recorded videos that, you can make me skinnier, you can make me better looking, you can make me X, Y, and Z, I was so nervous. Now, because of repetition and letting go of those fears, and just saying, I'm going to live my best life, no matter if other people like it or not, it's allowed me to really just live a more fulfilled life, if you will, as cliche as that may sound, where I'm actually finally, I'm not there yet, but at 37 years old, I'm finally happy with myself or where I'm at.
That's amazing. And I think that's one of the biggest keys, because I do know people, and I'm sure we both do. I've been in circles too, Dave, where someone's worth 150 million, or they're crushing it in business and it looks like they're on top of the world, but they're stressed. They have no freedom. They're not happy. They're not involved in their family at all. It's like, so I think happiness with doing what you love is a powerful combination. So it's cool that you can say that you're at that place now.
Yeah. And, I'm never going to stop, right? Like I bought a $50,000 necklace the other day because I need it. I don't know if I need it, but I think I need to still wear that necklace so people know that I'm successful. I still need to buy that Rolls Royce, whatever it is, so people know I'm successful. I still need to live in that multi-million-dollar house. Probably don't need to live in as big a house as I do, but subconsciously, I need to, for my own self, to post it online so I can get the likes and the comments, so I can feel like I actually did it.
Dude,
and
I
no one
love
else
the
wants
realness.
to say that, but
love
that's
the realness.
true. So what's wrong with that?
I love it, man. I think more people need to kind of be in their real self. I love that. So let's dive into passive income, payment processing, kind of what you've been into. When did you first realize the power of residual income or passive income? Was it like a massive breakthrough? Was it something you always were striving for? Talk about that kind of pinpoint that moment.
No, so I was always just involved in a million other businesses when I was younger. We don't have to get into that. So 10 years ago ish, a little bit over, probably a little over 10 years ago, is when I met my wife and my business partner, and my wife still to this day, 10 years later. And I had a retail store, e-commerce store, et cetera, bike company, and had my employees, all the overhead, yada, 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 where, I don't care if you do $50,000 in a day. Tomorrow resets, right? Doesn't matter how big your day was before, you got to sell again the next day. And when I met her, she had most of her clients were overseas. And I was like, what are you doing on that phone? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, where is the money coming from? And even when I set up the credit card processing for my businesses, I never even thought twice about the fees I was paying to accept those card payments. No one ever does. We're more focused on selling our products than we are, sell more products, cut my marketing costs. But, how about cut my credit card processing costs? What if you could put 0.5% back in your business? So after learning about the business that she's been in, and she's been in it since 98. So combined, we've been in this business for over 30 years doing this. So it's not like something you started yesterday. And so I sold my companies, said, I'm marrying you. And that wasn't because of the business, but when we got married, moved in together. And I'm kind of like that when it comes to business. I got married to my wife in probably 6 months. I've never spent a night apart from her. If I'm going to do something, I don't think about it. I just do it. So we got it together, and married couple and business partners. And only about 4 years ago is when we started training people. But the great thing about credit card processing is, think about it this way. Say you want to open up a dream restaurant. Let's say you work in a restaurant for 5 years, studying everything, learning everything about how to run a successful restaurant. You either save up all of your money, or 5 years later, you take out a loan and you go in debt. You get to now open up your dream restaurant. I now have the capability, which I don't say this, but I have the capability to knock on the door of your restaurant and say, hey, Pete, congratulations on opening up your restaurant. I'm here to make a percentage off of all your hard work and all your risk. If your restaurant goes under, I'll try to help you, but I don't lose anything. If you double your sales or you open more locations, I just make more money. Our oldest account right now to this date is 15 years old. Of course, It was my wife's account, but we haven't talked to them in 5 years. Every single time they take a card payment, we get paid.
That's amazing. So I'm thinking about, so if someone kind of hasn't started a business or they don't have a ton of experience, how is this still relevant to them? Because there's ways, if they don't even have a ton of experience, to do this, correct?
Yeah. So that's where residual payments was born. And like I said in the beginning, my wife and I have been in this business for over 30 years. And about 4 years ago was the first person we ever trained offline. Like, hey, Dave, what do you do? Teach me. All right, fine. I'll teach you how to do it. That person went on to be very successful. So after we taught that person, we ended up teaching a lot more people offline. And then after we started teaching people this business who had never been involved in this business, kind of like I was 10 years ago, we were like, holy crap, people who've never been in this business could actually build companies and make money off it. So residual payments, which we launched a year ago, which is the world's largest online training platform from teaching you how to make residual income off of credit cards, point blank, period. So we currently teach thousands of people every single month, and we're going worldwide, where you have 3 options when you join. Number one, if you're an existing business owner and you want to cut out the middleman or middlewoman for your business who set up your credit card processing, whether that be Square, PayPal, Stripe, or somebody actually who set up your payment processing, you have the capability with joining our program to do that. You can literally join and in literally a few days, cut out that middleman and instantly put money back in your business. Literally in a few days, do something that could put money back in your business for the next 5 or 10 years. Or number two, like you said, I'm kind of interested in this business, but how do I do it? Our team will help and train you if you want to have this as a side hustle or a value add to your business. So let's say you own a marketing company, or you have a podcast, or you have a lot of listeners, and you're like, I have a lot of people who own businesses. I'd like to make residual income off of it. We show you how to implement this as a value add to your existing business. Or number three, after you join, you're like, Dave, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I want what you have. I want to go all in. I want to build a massive payments company. That's where we have our 6-month-long programs and longer as well, where our team and ourselves work one-on-one with you to handle everything and help you scale your new payments company to the moon.
Interesting. So if someone's paying, so what's the percentage people should look for? If someone's paying like 3.5% to the person that got them involved, 4%, 2.5, what's kind of the percentage to look for that may be too high for
it's all across the board. So that's where our teams help facilitate all that. Essentially what you're doing is you get a statement, you send it in, you get a cost savings analysis back of here's what you're overpaying. And then essentially, let's say you own a burger joint or whatever, it doesn't matter. And somebody set up your merchant processing. Well, why are you paying someone else who you don't even know? Like, if you're not going to pay yourself, I mean, set your kid up as the agent to set up your account, right? So it all depends on your type of business model, because a burger place is way different in terms of pricing than, let's say, an MLM or someone who sells coaching services or somebody who takes all their payments online versus someone who takes their payments offline. Now, let me be very clear as well. After you learn how to help yourself with the merchant services or learn how to resell merchant services, we then show you how to add a million other value-added services. You are turning into a brand, payment, and business expert. And what I mean by that is payroll, gift cards, funding, marketing, branding, social media, the list goes on. What I always tell everybody is what's so interesting about owning a payments company if you're an entrepreneur where you're out there and you're kind of like, yeah, I like what I do, but I may want to open a restaurant, or I may want to do this. You're essentially getting paid to get educated on how all these businesses run. You get to see people's processing statements. You get to see essentially the bank accounts that go in. You get to see the hard work. You get to learn the back end that no one ever wants to talk about. So you get an insight, like we were saying before, people like to be online and act like they're killing it. It's like, I know where your bank account sits. You're not killing it, right? So, or, hey, I want to open up a restaurant, and after boarding 10 restaurants, man, that's a lot harder work than I thought. I don't want to be a restaurant owner, right? So the payment processing space is something no one ever talks about, but it is the most lucrative space you can ever be a part of, because if you want to double your income every single year, you can. If you want to hit whatever, if you want to make, let's say 10 grand a month, you can make more, but let's say you want to make 10 grand a month. And a year from now, you hit 10 grand a month or whatever it may be. And you're like, I'm done. I want to go travel the world. As long as your merchants are processing, you continue to get paid. So you could essentially stop working when you hit your number, as long as you text your merchants every couple of months, make sure they're happy. The offices of the payments companies and the banks will handle all of the support in the back end for your merchants. So
I was muted. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You made me think out loud. Our merchant accounts, our guys probably making a killing.
You would be surprised on how many very smart people like yourself I have now had conversations with. They're like, Dave, do you know how many people outside of myself I've told to go to Stripe? I'm like, yeah, you're an idiot. I'm like, you're not getting paid from it, right? So that's where it is funny, because it's one of those things that I always tell everybody is, you've owned a credit card your whole life. You've shopped online and offline your whole life. You understand how this works. You just didn't understand you could profit off of it. That's it.
Yeah, interesting. It's just like a new strategy to make money, and it's just awareness. A lot of people don't know about it. I didn't know there was this much behind it that people can actually make money off. I know how popular it is, and I know these days everybody's using credit card processing. A lot of companies, people don't even think about it. So that's cool that you actually have a solution for them to make money and to make the businesses happy. It's kind of a win-win.
Yeah. And, it's just pretty incredible. The one thing I really like is outside of the community that we have, and it's a massive community where it's so cool that, let's just say it's me, someone saw one of our ads. They're like, and then I always tell everybody, they're like, Dave, can the course be cheaper? I'm like, well, can I stop retargeting you? Can you click on the ad once? No. Okay. Well, you cost me way more to acquire you as a customer. And joking aside, it's so weird nowadays that someone from X, Y, and Z across the country saw one of my ads or one of my wife's ads, clicked on it, trusted us. And then whatever time frame it is, a week or a month or whatever it may be, later on, they've now incorporated a new company. They own a payments company. And then I see on Facebook with their arm around their first merchant. It's just kind of cool. So essentially what residual payments is we built a Costco model, and we have a very vested interest for you to be successful. So by all of us working against each other, myself included. By the way, I didn't get rid of the payments thing. We're still building our payments companies. So while we're all working together, but competing against each other, but supporting each other, going to some of the similar banks, payments companies, terminal providers, the list goes on, it allows us to work in power and numbers to get exclusivity and lower rates for everyone combined, so that we all benefit. So I like to tell everybody I own the biggest gang in payments.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. So one last tip too, because it seems like you guys have such a powerful relationship and you're making it work together as a couple. And a lot of people can't do that, or they swear, don't work with your significant other. Me and my wife do it as well, and it's been amazing. But if you can give some tips on how to make it work with your partner, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. And funny enough, we actually have, which we'll get you guys actually, well, yeah, are you already to make you commit? You're already gonna be on it. I'm telling you now, Peter, your wife will be on it. We're starting a podcast where it's all based on couples or business partners. We call it Betting on Us. And I want to interview people where it doesn't mean that your wife or whatever, your partner, whatever it may be, has to be involved in your business, but there's a relationship aspect there, right? If you have a bad relationship, it's hard for you to be concentrated, on the business at hand. And the biggest thing, by the way, I've never spent a night apart from my wife. So we're really weird, right? So it's kind of 24/7, everything. But the biggest thing that anyone needs to do in any relationship, and it happens every single day. Well, no, it doesn't happen every single day, but you know what I mean, is if a fight starts, I don't care who's wrong or right, you need to end it immediately, because then it's just going to roll into your business and you're not going to get anything done. So for us, we separate everything completely. We stop our fights right away, but there's no real, like, she knows the projects she's working on. I know the projects I'm working on. And we try to just separate stuff out as much as possible so that we're both not working on the same project, trying to outdo the other.
And kind of like attacking the issue head on is something that is a game changer. I feel when we do that, it's just such a different dynamic. So it takes maturity, but it takes, I think, multiple awareness where both you guys are like, we have our own tasks. We're going to execute here. I'll execute here. And let's deal with any tension right away. I feel like a lot of couples kind of let the tension build up in a sense. You know what I mean? And then it's like resentment, and they get frustrated and it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you just, if I'm not traveling, I don't leave my house. I literally pace around my house working from whatever. Let's say I wake up at 4:30 or 5 till 10 at night. And that's the same thing with my wife. So we're on 24/7 every single day. I just don't have a choice because we're just way too busy with all of our companies, right? So, there's naturally going to be something that I do or she does that, I told you we should have spent the $100,000 over here. I told you that person was the wrong person. And that's where you have to make sure that no matter what, right or wrong, that you're always protecting your significant other or your partner, whoever it is. You're never throwing them under the bus either.
Yep. I love it. That's huge. Well, I appreciate your time, man. This has been very knowledgeable and very eye-opening for a lot of people. Where can they find you? Go ahead and tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So residual payments is exactly, hey guys, would think of residual payments. You can go residualpayments.com, Facebook, all over the places where you guys can join. On TikTok and Instagram, you can go to Meet the Carlins, MEET, the Carlins, CARLINS, Meet the Carlins on TikTok or Instagram. We're always putting out every single day, daily videos on business or whatever we can think of. So look forward if you guys want to join us. We'd love to work with anybody, and anything else you guys need, just reach out to our team. We'll take care of you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. It's been an amazing episode, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Thank you, Peter.